Welcome to Tuesday. It's the 25th day of April 2023. Your day with the podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily, also being brought to you by WYDOT. Well, a nice shot there from Wapiti of the Aurora Borealis that came in fast and furious Sunday evening and Sunday night. Now we're talking about cloudy, cool, unsettled, and wet weather for some of you, many of you, as we head into the next few days. Two weather systems. One that is affecting the region right now, an upper level low that at this time yesterday was in Washington and Oregon and is now sliding into the Great Basin states and will slide slowly to the south and east, bringing the Front Range and eastern plains of Colorado and western and southwestern Kansas some good amounts of rain, and there is going to be some thunder. There's also going to be some wet snow. We've already seen heavy wet snow overnight and into the early morning hours in some of the high country of southern Wyoming and northern Colorado. Another system, this time a system dropping in out of Saskatchewan and Alberta, will slide south into the region, and that's going to come in late Thursday night into Friday. So that'll spread rain and snow across the High Plains region. As we mentioned yesterday, a lot of it is going to be along and east of the Divide, which is a bit of a different scenario. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to end up getting some good precipitation in all areas. Like Nebraska is one area that really needs the moisture and is not going to get a lot out of this, as the better moisture is going to be more along the Front Range and the plains adjacent to the Front Range. Then a warming trend will commence this weekend into early next week. As we get into May, it does look like it will be getting warmer, but the weather is still going to be unsettled as it usually is. The satellite loop this morning, wanted to loop it to show you this area of enhanced cloudiness right here. This area of cloudiness is forming the showers and the thunderstorms that'll be taking shape today and into tonight. The upper level low coming into just about the Salt Lake City, and you can see the spinning motion of the clouds here. Well, this axis of the cloudiness that you see here is where the formation of the better chance of where the precipitation is going to be. And this basically will continue to form throughout the day, then slowly slide south and east across Colorado into northern New Mexico, then into the panhandles later on. Then you can see this area up here of cloudiness. That's the upper level low in Canada that comes in later. So there you can see it, just about over Salt Lake City. The low is detached from any really cold air. So this is why the snow levels are going to be rather high today up into the mountains, with mostly rain down on into the plains. But as we get into the evening and overnight hours, down to 6,000 feet or a little bit lower, we could see a changeover. By tomorrow morning, the low is just about Raton Pass there, sliding to the east-southeast towards the panhandle. So it's going to take the better moisture on a southeast trajectory. Then up here, this upper level low is going to get pulled in as this one heads off to the east. Over the next 48 hours, this is where the heavier precipitation is going to fall. You see this sharp drop-off northeast of the line. That's why Nebraska is going to not do as well. But the I-70 corridor and south of I-70 will see the best rain in months in those areas there. Some of the droughtiest areas of the country are in these counties right here, and they're going to get some very beneficial rain and a little bit of wet snow. And you can see along the Front Range of southern Wyoming, along the upslope areas from the east slopes of the Wind Rivers to near Casper, then along and east of the Laramie Range and Snowy Range, and along the Front Range areas of Colorado is where the better moist upslope is going to be. This is the snowfall forecast, so you can see the mountains of central and southern Colorado and into the mountains of central and southern Wyoming, and even up into the Black Hills here and up into southwest Montana. Going to get some snow out of this, mainly up high, but it's going to be in the foothills and mountains a very heavy, wet spring snow. By late Thursday afternoon, this is for 6 p.m. Thursday, that low in Canada is dive bombing south and east going in this direction here. And what that'll do, that'll produce another swath. This is the second round of precipitation, and you can see a lot of it is long and east of the Continental Divide here in the upslope areas. So that will spread another area of rain and snow and cool, moist weather along and east of the Divide, mainly late Thursday, overnight Thursday, into the early morning hours of Friday. And that will also bring some snow to the Black Hills and areas along and east of the Divide. And when you look at these snowpack figures as of yesterday, look at this. The Belle Fourche up to 200% of average. You know, the Little Snake after this storm may very well approach 200% of average, maybe the Lower Green River as well. So we're going to continue to add to the snowpack. And as we know, the cold weather, the snowpack is growing, not shrinking a lot due to melting. Just haven't had a lot of melting. But that'll change as we get into the weekend and into early next week. This is by Monday morning. Now notice this area of high pressure coming in. It's kind of a skinny area of high pressure moving into the Great Basin states. So this is going to be warming things up over the weekend and into early next week there. We have a northerly flow, though, coming in on the back side of this low that's going to get really organized over the Great Lakes. So very cool, wet pattern for the eastern United States here while the west begins to warm up. But there's going to be a bit of a battle. East of the divide, it's a northerly flow, keeping cool air along and east of the divide, while the warmer air is building west of the divide there. And you can see this. This is for Monday morning. Look how cold the center and eastern areas of the U.S. are, while that underneath that high is where the warm air is. So along and east of the divide, it could be cool to start the week, but look what happens. This is Monday morning. But by Monday afternoon, the cold heads east and then warm spreads out along the Front Range right here. So there's going to be some warmer air coming on in, and this is going to start to initiate where you start to see it well above freezing during the day and probably above freezing at night in many areas over the higher elevations. So this will really start to accelerate the snowmelt getting on into the early to middle parts of next week in some areas of the West, especially Utah, especially into those Great Basin states. You're going to hear about rising waters. By late next week, this is by Wednesday into Thursday, we have this big low that's going to be forming just off the California coast. Going to put a big question mark here because we really not sure if this is going to get cut off from the main jet stream and wander or send pieces of energy out into the plains and the Rockies, which will lead to occasionally damp weather, or if it's going to stall here and just keep a high pressure system over the central part of the U.S. We'll see. This is typical as we get into May. What we do is we call these cutoff lows. We start to see this time of year, and the models always have a hard time kind of keeping track of where they're going to go. But the overall writing message is the next few days, colder, wet, some wet snow in the mountains and lower elevations, looking at a rain-snow mix, then a warming trend this weekend and into early next week. After that, we'll kind of see what this upper level low is going to do. Have yourself a good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.